Coming up on Bloom, we're boosting your cognitive health with the author of The Busy Brain Cure.
With iPads and phones and computers in school and at work, we've actually rewired our brain. So that, do you know, every time you touch that iPad that's in your hand, you get a little dopamine hit in the brain.
And a 70-year-old fitness guru is sharing her secrets to look like this. And longevity dietitian Ella DeVar is whipping up her famous beet soup recipe. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, a full hour dedicated to your health and wellness, so get ready to bloom. Today we're exploring the science and art of longevity, and we'll be talking to experts about ways to improve our lives and well-being as we age. For many of us, we can't seem to shut our brains down, and we even feel the need to have 2 digital devices at one time to keep our brains occupied. In fact, research shows more than 40% of online adults are multi-device users. Joining me now is neurologist, board-certified physician, and the author of The Busy Brain Cure, a book that gives readers an 8-week plan to find focus, tame anxiety, and sleep again, Dr. Romy Mushtaq. Dr. Romy, it is such a pleasure to have you on Bloom.
Gayle, it is a joy to be here with our Florida family and to talk about busy brains together.
And I think all of us have busy brains. When I talked about the statistic of having to have 2 devices in my hand, watching TV, what is it that compels us to have to feel the need to have all this information, streaming into our brains at one time?
You know, Gayle, it's very interesting. Busy brain has nothing to do with what's going on in the outside world. It's the fact that over the last 15 years, with iPads and phones and computers in school and at work, we've actually rewired our brain. So that, do you know, every time you touch that iPad that's in your hand, you get a little dopamine hit in the brain. And it feels good, like you just got something on sale at the mall, or somebody had a hit of drugs or crack or cocaine. That's what happens every time you touch the screen. So when you put it down, you start going through withdrawal. So it's no wonder that when you're even binge watching something good, you're like, I need to double check my phone. I need to check on social media. FOMO kicks in. Am I missing a work email? And that's how all of our brains have been rewired. And it can be actually very destructive.
What I find so interesting about your personal journey is you started off as a neurologist, and you decided after your own personal health journey to make a switch and step away from clinical medicine.
Gayle, I loved my job. I entered neurology at a time where less than 5% of the brain doctors in the United States were women. I was doing cutting-edge research on women's health and hormones and brain health. And I was chronically sleep deprived. And computers had just entered the hospital at that time, all those digital screens. And I kept pushing myself, like all of our viewers out there. You're like, I have no choice. I have to work. I have a mortgage to pay. And I learned the hard way that chronic stress can cause disease and it can kill you. I almost died, and I'm a doctor. I should have known better. I ended up in life-saving surgery. And I remember in the hospital, laying down in that moment thinking, nothing I learned in medical school is going to help me now. What do I do? And it sent me on this lifelong quest to heal. And I started to do the research with our other corporate clients, and I realized I'm not alone in having a busy brain and getting burnt out.
Yeah, you're not alone, and so many. I went my entire career with sleep deprivation, and now I feel like I'm trying to play catch up on cognitive issues, all the things, the damage that we do to our bodies. But fortunately, through your book, you help people transition away from that. So talk me through the 8-week plan to have a slower, not a slower brain, I should say, but to stop the busyness.
Let's stop the busy brain.
Right.
And what happens? First of all, what happens when we have a busy brain? That you have chronic stress in your brain and you can't focus. You might even have ADD, and now you have anxiety and you can't sleep. We want to actually heal that. And Gayle, let me tell you, none of our viewers want to hear, just eat berries, breathe, everything's going to be fine. My corporate clients were getting frustrated. 17,000 people took our busy brain test, and from that we came up with an 8-week, 8-step cure that will heal everybody and get to the root cause of what's going on. Have you ever wondered, gosh, this anxiety medicine, ADD medicine isn't working. Is there something else going on? That's what this 8-week plan uncovers by giving you a step-by-step protocol to do and labs to take to your doctor.
Oh, really? So,
Yes.
so labs play into all of this, because I
Absolutely.
think that's going to have everyone's pause a little bit, because when you add science to the equation,
Yes.
that's when it really the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a brain doctor, and integrative medicine, so bring Eastern and Western medicine together. And we had a little time in our hands in the pandemic when it seemed everyone developed a busy brain. I started to do the research then. And one of the most important things we found is when you have a busy brain and you're looking at multiple screens and you can't focus and you're anxious, did you know that the chronic stress leads to a pattern of neuroinflammation that can actually cause abnormal thyroid problems, Gayle? And that 1 in 8 women in the United States is walking around with something known as subclinical hypothyroidism. It means it's not really obvious to the doctor, but you can't focus, you're anxious, and you just think maybe I'm failing as a mom or I'm failing at work.
I mean, as I listen to you, because I've been
Yes.
real candid about my journey with this on a personal level, and I was checking every single box that you just mentioned, and it really, you walk around suffering, and it's so hard to find the help that you need.
Gayle, thank you for sharing that, because in chapter 4, I break down and I tell the honest truth. I thought I failed as a woman. I had never had a regular menstrual cycle and was having fertility issues. I'm a doctor, and I kept thinking, is it my thyroid? But here's the key for every woman that's listening to Gayle and I, if you have a woman in your love life, that you love in your life, is to have a full thyroid panel checked. We give you all of that in chapter 16 of this book, because often when you go to your primary care doctor, they only check 1 or 2 thyroid labs. There's actually 8 of them that have to be checked. Mine got checked, and I started to heal it. And that's one of the 5 key components of healing a busy brain. For most men and women, believe it or not, it could be a thyroid.
Yeah, I believe it. And to your point, your regular panel is not telling you everything that you need to know. I mean, for me, I ended up having to have a compounded medication. I mean, it gets it down to a science, but when you get it figured out, it is
Life transformative.
it's hard to explain.
I will tell you this with pride. This year, I turned 50. I am cognitively sharper than when I was 25 and graduated from medical school.
I believe it. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to share this story on BloomTampaBay.com, and Dr. Romy is sticking around and continuing this conversation with Bloom digital reporter and producer Brody Waddell. The 3 of us will be right back. Don't go away. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. We're back talking about the art and science of longevity, and the #1 focus for many of us should be our brain health.
That's right. I got with the experts to craft my latest article about brain health in a hyper-connected world. And I found out about a phenomenon called busy brain syndrome.
Joining us again is the author of The Busy Brain Cure, board-certified physician, Dr. Romy Mushtaq. Thank you so much for sticking around, Dr. Romy.
Gayle, Brody, it is wonderful to be here with you. And I actually would say the #1 thing everyone should be doing for longevity is their brain, yet most of us choose the gym.
It's true, we do choose the gym.
Right. Seems like we should do both, right? So tell me, what does this constant exposure to our digital devices do to our brains? Like, I grew up in a time right before smartphones, so I kind of got used to it. Like, tell me, especially with these new generations, just all the time.
Well, Brody, it's actually all of us. So I'm a little bit older than you. I'm going to call myself your Dr. Auntie here. And I grew up at a time in medical school when our medical textbooks, computers didn't exist, were kind of wider than the height of your head, and carrying those around. And what we know back then, adult onset ADD or ADHD wasn't even a real diagnosis back then. But when you look at the medical literature, the more we started to use computers and handheld devices and iPads and now multiple screens, we were rewiring our brains. And that constant overstimulation of that circuitry in your brain is now actually reaching to cause low focus, low attention span, less than 9 seconds. And for many adults who were fine in childhood, now we have adult onset attention deficit disorder.
So can we flip the script, doctor? Can we
Yes.
slow down our brains and find the calmness?
It is. I've been researching this since the pandemic because have you noticed Nobody wants to be told to eat berries and breathe to refocus again.
Yes.
It just wasn't helping. And then we get confused with all the supplements that we see on our Instagram ads. And so I wanted to get to the actual solution. In the Busy Brain Cure, you see that I asked a company that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, their executives to do one thing: put down all digital devices 60 minutes before bedtime. No smart TV, no laptop. You're looking a little panicked, Gayle.
I am. I'm
Yes.
starting to twitch here a
Like,
little.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, the key is to find other things to keep your hands and your brain busy. I wash the dishes and take my dog for a walk because with soapy, greasy hands, I'm not going to touch my phone, right? And so you find things to keep yourself busy. And what we found was that not having that light in front of your eyes, especially blue light, will actually then calm down the stress hormone levels in the brain, and it allows healthy hormones like serotonin and melatonin, your sleep good and feel good hormones, to rev up again. So now you actually are loving the person that's in your home again instead of being low-key annoyed with them.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm as guilty as anyone of being up late on my phone and looking at it. So tell me, like, I hear all this like hubbub about blue light and stuff
Yeah.
like that, those wavelengths, you mentioned it. Are like those glasses effective? Do those work? Like,
I've got a little bit more bad news from Dr. Auntie for you today,
no.
Brody.
No.
Yeah. So first of all, it's the entire light spectrum that will disrupt our eyes. So if somebody's really sensitive to sleep, we actually say dim all the lights in your home an hour or two before bedtime. But the blue light, especially, the blue light blockers in clinical research can reduce headaches when you're sitting at work in front of the screens, but it still does not prevent that phenomenon of your feel good and sleep good hormones of plummeting. And we really want to protect that at night. And by the way, here's another pro tip could I give you? Melatonin isn't going to work long term. I only give melatonin to my executives that may be traveling cross country for 3 to 7 days. If you start taking melatonin and you're looking at your phone or your devices, you're actually rewiring your brain to say, stay awake, start stressing and obsessing all night again. So we actually in the book recommend other supplements. Obviously talk to your doctor before you start any new regimen, but we actually do that. And in 7 to 10 days of starting these supplements and doing the digital detox, people transform. They get off of sleeping pills that they've been on for years.
Yeah, we have about a minute left, so that's what I wanted to ask you. And I know this was something that Brody was curious about too, is that there is a way through your book to move away from all the prescription medications that really don't work, because we are a sleep-deprived nation.
We're addicted to stimulants all day and sedatives at night, and we want to break that. So you take the Busy Brain test, which is for free. We did in 17,000 people. If you get a score above 30, keep going to week 2. We have a 7-day sleep challenge that is easy for everyone to do, and do it with your family or do it with your team at work. And the third step in all of this one may surprise you both. Actually check your vitamin D3 levels, D as in dog. Even though we are taping this in Florida where we're in sunshine, we all still, from that chronic stress and digital devices, our vitamin D3 levels plummet. And that protects your mood and your ability to focus.
Amazing conversation.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to share this on our website, bloomtampabay.com, and we are thrilled. Dr. Romy joined us for our podcast, The Bloom Health Club, to continue this incredible conversation.
You can stream that full episode anytime on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. When it comes to the science and art of longevity, nutrition plays a huge role. Joining me now is longevity dietitian, gut health expert, and the author of Healthy Cooking for High Performers, Ella DeVar. Ella, it is so great to see you.
Likewise, Gayle. Thanks for having me.
So Ella, there's been so much emerging information when it comes to longevity, really at the cellular level. Tell me about that.
I know every day we hear different news about nutrition science and longevity research, things like mTOR, NAD, NMN, and then there's methylation and telomeres. And I do my best to catch up with all the science, and my job truly is to translate all of the research and nutrition scientific evidence into practical daily advice that all of us can start acting on right away. And here's the gist of it. Make sure that every time you eat and every time you look at your plate, it contains some of the colors. Colorful vegetables, at least 3 to 4 colorful vegetables a day, really help us to take advantage of all those recommendations. The polyphenols, antioxidants, for example, glutathione becoming very popular these days, and it's so easy to get it from green leafy vegetables. You'll be surprised, but bok choy, asparagus, celery are all translated into compounds such as glutathione and even NAD.
Okay, and so, and then there's also a lot of talk about anti-inflammatory diets, because people think that they're gaining weight as in fat,
Yes.
but they're really just keeping hold of a lot of water and inflammation.
Yeah, and this is really truly key to higher chances of longevity and making sure that we're lowering inflammation in our body. And how do we do that? I teach my clients, every time you lift the fork, you have a chance to improve your health and lower inflammation. So don't miss out on that chance, and make sure that every time you eat, you're eating nutrient-dense foods. I mentioned dark leafy greens, but then there's also colorful vegetables like sweet potatoes or beets or carrots or even berries. You know, the brighter the color, the more antioxidant it has. And I always like to say, if it has the potential to stain your clothes, that's the one that you should go for, because of all these bright colors and the polyphenols that are responsible for that. My favorite when it comes to berries are pomegranates. They help to improve your gut health and microbiome. Cranberries, highest in vitamin C, which is the most potent antioxidant to reduce chances of infections. And then there's also cherries. Cherries are high in uric acid, which helps us to prevent gout and lower inflammation. And you know, anything else that you love. And if we really start with choosing those instead of the things that we like for snack, for example, right? If you're someone who's always on the go, make sure that you choose or you bring with you, let's say, celery sticks or cherry tomatoes or cucumber slices, right? And that's already an upgrade. That's already a step into the direction where longevity is.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of what you do for your clients is, you know, you're talking to high performers, people that are busy, they don't have a lot of time for prep work. So what are some tips that you would suggest that we could do to incorporate these foods into our diet without a lot of laborious effort of like cutting and slicing and preparing?
Yeah. Well, I always like to say, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So all it takes is a little bit of intention, right? So you're waking up in the morning, and every time you look at food, what should I be eating? Where is the chance to create improvements? For example, green tea is higher in antioxidants sometimes than coffee, and creating variety of those antioxidants into your diet is a good start. And then also eating. Sometimes people could just like eat eggs and bread, and I always say, make sure you add some sauerkraut, add some colorful vegetables like spinach and avocado, and that creates a rainbow on your plate. And then same thing for lunch. It's okay to have a sandwich once in a while, but make sure that you don't eat it every day. Make sure that sometimes you choose a soup and a salad next to it, right? And that's what creates the difference. And same thing for dinner. You know, all of my recipes are never longer than 30 minutes because I love cooking, and all of my recipes are nutrient dense, but I love efficiency. I always make sure that every ingredient that I choose is nutrient dense, and that's what makes it so delicious and so easy.
And you also say we need to be mindful when we eat.
Yes, that's really this huge part of longevity research, that it's not just the food. You know how my mentor used to say, it's not, even if you eat all the broccoli in the world and you hate yourself or your life, you're not going to be healthy. Mindful living is really about embracing this lifestyle of, you know, a gratitude, an appreciation, lowering your perception of stress or changing your perception of stress, really what gives you stress and anxiety, and focusing on gratitude and appreciation. I love also mindful eating practices to prevent overeating, which is a huge thing for, you know, that causes inflammation and obesity. Taking 5 deep breaths before eating, really bringing more mindfulness into the dish, and that could lead to eating less and enjoying more. And it's such a cheap and easy strategy.
I love it. Ella, thank you so much.
You're so good.
All right, we're going to post this on bloomtampabay.com, and stick around because Ella and I are heading into the Bloom kitchen to make her famous beet soup when Bloom returns. We're back talking about the art and science of longevity, and you can find that in the kitchen. Longevity dietitian and gut health expert Ella DeVar is back with her famous beet soup recipe. Ella, thanks for sticking around.
I'm so excited for you to try this recipe. You have no idea.
And this recipe, by the way, is famous. You
Yes.
actually started cooking live for people during the pandemic.
Yes.
When you you were stuck in the mountain area,
Yes.
right?
And there's nothing else to do other than have fun in the kitchen. So I was cooking this live, and the school that I graduated from, NYU, picked it up and they blasted. Now every time you Google this soup, which is called borscht, it's a Polish word for beet soup, my name comes up on NYU Food Lab website.
That is so cool. So talk to me about some of the ingredients that go into this.
So this is basically a salad with bone broth. You know, it's a lot of vegetables, right? But don't let the ingredient list scare you. It's very easy. It's a one-pot dish, and we begin by chopping up and prepping vegetables. I mean, it's a good thing to have, like a good knife skills, you know. But I did all the job for us. So we begin with sautéing.
Okay.
We can turn this on.
All right.
And we'll saute some onions and carrots in one pot with a little bit of olive oil. Actually, maybe not a little bit, maybe like half a cup of olive oil. You know, we don't measure, we're just trying to make it as delicious as possible. So we begin with sauteing some of the root vegetables here together. The green leafy vegetables such as cabbage and celery go last, we'll remember that. And we're gonna add some beets as soon as this starts to heat up.
Okay, so talk to me about the beets. Did you pre-cook the beets? Like, how did you get them diced so beautifully like that?
Well, I do have excellent knife skills, but for those who don't, you can shred them, which makes it easier. But I only shred if I cook for older people. For young people, I just chop them up fresh like this. So this soup, you can also saute with some olive oil separately. I just make it all together, and this is fresh. This is fresh
so that's
beets.
an actual beet.
Yes.
All right, so you skin it and then you chopped it up, but it's not cooked already?
Nope. Not at all.
Okay.
Look, this is a dietitian healthified version of it. You can pre-cook it, you could roast it, you could saute it separately. But for me, remember how I said this is a salad with the bone broth? Like, I just love feeling my vegetables that are still alive and crunchy.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So we're gonna add those in next.
The next, so we begin with onions, carrots, and beets, and then we'll put the tablespoon of tomato paste.
Okay.
Tomato paste, you'll notice how all of these ingredients, they're so colorful, and this is what the soup is about, combining all of these nutrient-dense vegetables of creating this concoctions that is absolutely delicious and low in calories because it's mostly vegetables. There's one secret ingredient to it, because this soup is famous in Jewish and Polish cuisine, and it's actually translated into beet soup that is sour. Okay?
I love it.
And for acidity, sometimes people use a lemon juice or sugar. I don't like to use that, so this is my trick. I just add a little bit of apple cider vinegar that also helps to preserve the beet color.
Okay, I love it. I love apple cider vinegar. It's so delicious.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's high in probiotics. So I use just 2 teaspoons.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're gonna let that simmer for a while.
All right.
Add a little bit of salt. Okay, and then next, after maybe 10 or 15 minutes of simmering in, when the vegetables are softened up, and then we'll add some bone broth, which is on your side.
Okay.
Again, if you're vegetarian or vegan, you could definitely use a vegetable stock. But knowing me, I like to capitalize on all my nutrients, and bone broth is hugely beneficial for gut health.
Am I putting it all in or just part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on how you like your density of your soup, I like mine to be with a lot of broth.
Okay.
Look how beautiful that
It
already
is beautiful, yeah.
So bone broth, hugely beneficial for gut health, helps to repair the gut lining because this is naturally rich in naturally occurring collagen.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
That's why I love using bone broth, but for everyone else, they could absolutely use vegetable stock. Okay, some salt and pepper and Italian seasoning. I definitely love using all types of herbs here. Oregano, thyme is my favorite, and I just grab a combination of herbs to make that happen. All right, so we'll let that simmer for a little bit and then add some potatoes. They also take a while to cook. the beauty of this soup is that it only it takes around like half an hour to make, but it gets better the next day because all the vegetables get to really soften up and exchange flavors, and the next day it's just a divine combination.
I love this. And so once you cut it, you're saying, and you put it all into the one pot recipe,
Yeah.
you let it cook for about 30 minutes.
We begin
before
with root vegetables because
Okay.
they cook the longest,
Okay.
and we saute them with a little bit of olive oil first, and then we add potatoes and bone broth.
Okay.
Forgot my garlic.
All right,
I
gotta
know
have
you
the
love it.
garlic. Yeah, I love it.
But you don't have to add it. I know a lot of people are sensitive to it, but when it gets cooked, it's digested much easier.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Then one of the last ingredients at the very end, we add some cabbage. Go ahead.
All right, I'll add the
Maybe
cabbage.
like 10-15 minutes.
And we have about 30 seconds, and you also added celery to this.
Well, celery, it doesn't usually go in traditional recipe, but this is my dietitian upgraded recipe.
Okay.
Okay. And the last thing that I'm gonna add are beans. Beans are high in fiber and protein, and I love adding a little bit of protein to my soups.
This looks
Voila.
amazing, Ella.
Now I want you to try it.
All right. I'm going to take a little bite of the beet
It
soup
usually
here.
comes with sour cream, but I love using yogurt, high in protein with a little bit of garlic, kind of like tzatziki with dill.
It's delicious, Ella. It's so good, like all of your recipes. And speaking of which, we're going to share this recipe online. And when we come back, I find out what this woman is eating. She's 70 years old and leading a fitness revolution. Meet Liz Hilliard when Bloom returns. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. Our next guest is a shining example of the science and art of longevity. 70-year-old Liz Hilliard is a motivational speaker, podcast co-host, and the owner and creator of Hilliard Studio Method, an internationally renowned core-centric total body workout described as Pilates on steroids. And she's the author of Be Powerful, Find Your Strength at Any Age. Liz, what an honor it is to meet you. I feel like you are my aging goals.
Well, thank you, Gayle. It's great to meet you as well.
So, Liz, something that I talk about a lot on Bloom with my viewers is about the importance of strength training, especially as we age. I'm 57, and since I started heavily strength training a few years ago, it's just a game changer.
It really, really is. And I like to say to people, I don't think we as Americans have so much of a problem with being overweight as we don't have enough. We have more of a problem of not having enough muscle in order to not only burn away that unwanted fat, but keep our bodies and our bones strong into longevity, into older age. But at any age, you need to have that strength and that muscle tone and that, health of the body. The stronger your muscles are, it really incorporates the whole strength and health of the whole body.
And you say we need to be getting more protein in our diets.
Yeah. Oh, for heaven, yeah. And I think that's one of the real, it's hard when you think about it. For instance, if you're a 120 pound woman, you need to get around just about 120 grams of protein per day in your diet, which is not an easy thing to do. As a matter of fact, about a few years ago, I developed a smoothie here at Hilliard Studio Method called our Hilliard Studio Method Smoothie, which starts me out every morning with 27 grams of protein, 23 grams of fiber, another big one, good healthy fat, and phytonutrients. So protein is key. And I think another thing about it is once you understand that and you start really finding great sources of it, which I'm happy to talk about, it fills you up and you're not so hungry. You don't have those spikes in your glucose, your sugar in your body, so you're like starving at 11 o'clock in the morning. I mean, if you can start your morning out with a good, healthy protein source, then you are starting ahead of the game.
I love it. I love it. Now, do you talk openly about your age? Because, I mean, it's mind-blowing to me about how good you look. I mean, you clearly practice what you preach.
Oh, thank you so much. And as a matter of fact, I love that you put 70 up there. My birthday is January 20th. I am on my last few days of 69. I'll be 70 on January 20th. And I'm really proud of that age. I mean, who knew that I never expected to feel this good? And I really, really do. part of the beauty of eating well and working your body well and keeping it strong is that you can enjoy life no matter what age you are. You can keep yourself out of the doctor's office. You can keep yourself away from having to take pills, and you can enjoy a full life. And the longer we live, the more we gain in knowledge and in emotional, having children and grandchildren or friends. It's just kind of a wonderful awakening to me to be 70 years old in a couple of weeks and to feel this good and to know that I can continue to do this workout that I do at Hilliard Studio Method every single day. I do it 4 or 5 times a week. And it's a very big, challenging strength training workout combined with Pilates. So, and while I'm talking about it, I'll just tell you, if you're interested in it, we have it online at HilliardStudioMethod.com. We stream. We've got so many minutes of live classes and good things you could join us to do just for $25 a month.
I love it. And you're going to give us a little taste of it right now because you have a chair behind you. It's like no excuses.
Yes.
You can do this at your desk.
Yes. Yes. This is what I want to talk about, because not only do you want to strength train at all ages, but you want to move your body no matter what you're doing. So I've got a couple of little dumbbells. If you've got that at your house, great. Strength training basically is using the resistance of gravity. Watch me from the side. I'm just going to squat down like I'm sitting in a chair, and I'm going to put some heavy weights. Maybe these are just 8-pound weights. Now, if you're brand new at this and you're like, you know what? I don't have any of those things, but I do have a chair. Resistance. Sit lightly, stand straight up. Use these glutes, leg muscles, use this core strength. Everything we do at Hilliard Studio Method and everything I want you to do at home is going to start with your core. That's pulling your belly button in, keeping the back nice and straight, all that sort of thing. There are so many cool things we can do with a chair. So at Hilliard Studio Method, we have equipment all over the place, but maybe at your house, you maybe will sit at the edge of that chair and you will do what's called a tricep dip, working the back of the arms, working as well. Now I'm going to step back here if you can see me, and I'm going to show you a push-up on a floor, and maybe you can do it. Maybe you are able to do a full push-up, but if not, you simply put your knees on the floor. This is strength training. Bend halfway down, press it up. You've never done a push-up before? Try it on a chair.
I love
Same
this.
thing. Bend, press it up. What am I doing?
This has been fascinating. I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to meet you, and thank you for sharing your method with our Bloom viewers today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Gayle. Let's work out together.
All right, take care, and we're going to share this story on our website, and we will be back with more Bloom right after this. Welcome back to Bloom. When it comes to your skin, the science of anti-aging has come a long way. Here with breakthrough ways to anti-age is physician assistant Corinne Singletary. Corinne, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So talk to me a little bit about fillers, because I know, some women look to them, but they might be afraid of like how much goes into your skin.
Right. So with anti-aging, obviously there's a lot involved, but neuromodulators, Botox, fillers are really my mainstay. And you think of fillers, and sometimes I think you probably think of that really full face, and that's not what we're here for. A filler is just going to be really something small, about 1 ml, which 1 ml is 1/5 of a teaspoon. So if you take a look, this is just a very small amount that's going in your face. So it really takes an awful lot of filler to kind of get that really overdone look. So what we're trying to really do is just rejuvenate and refresh the skin. So if you take a blueberry, and a blueberry roughly is going to represent about 1 ml as well. So roughly the syringe of filler is about the size of 1 blueberry. And then if this were to stimulate my filler, really what we're just trying to do is just restore a little bit of the wrinkling and the volume loss that we see that we're going to lose as we age. So we would just go in similar to this in just multiple areas and just try to plump up the dermis, plump up the skin, and just add more volume overall throughout our face.
That's really interesting, because it almost is like you're peppering it into the face instead of like filling it.
Exactly. So, and we've come a long way with filler. We're really just trying to do more site specific, but also still keep the facial symmetry that we just start to lose as we age with sagging skin and loss of elasticity.
What about women and men, because I know men are heavy into skincare as well these days. I understand there's been a huge rise in peptides.
Exactly right. So peptides pretty much are in just about everything these days. They've started adding them to our fillers, to some of our makeups, our skincare. And what a peptide is essentially an amino acid that we would know as collagen and elastin. Unfortunately, as we age, pretty much starting around age 30, we lose about 1% of collagen per year. So the peptides are going to help prevent that and just kind of restore it. And again, combination therapy with everything just really kind of boosts the skin. So the peptides in something like this is just your normal skincare. You can use it for makeup, you can use it for SPF, and it's just something that's just going to help prevent loss of elasticity and just help with fine lines.
Okay, that's great. If you're not ready for a full facelift, there's also a pretty non-invasive way to get a bit of a lift.
Absolutely. So we've got PDO threads. We've got a couple threads right here. A smaller thread here would be our twist or our smooth, which are just little small threads that we inject multiple within the face to get the collagen production. Something a little bit larger is this longer thread here, and this is going to be our barbed thread, and that's going to be more of our lifting. So that's going to really help lift some of the volume loss and the sagging of the face itself.
And where can you put these threads? Where do they typically go?
So typically I would say most people are going to use them running from the cheek to the folds near the mouth and the folds below, just to really kind of help really just lift everything up. We want the face to look like a heart or an upside down triangle versus more of a square shape that happens as we age.
And how long do the strings last?
Typically about 9 months to a year. They are going to start breaking down after the first several months, but they're essentially absorbable suture material. So just like if you were to have normal surgery, they're going to start to break down over the course of several months.
Okay, now for all you stomach sleepers that, like myself, we do tend to get wrinkles on our face, in our neck area. So what can we do for that?
Absolutely right. I try to suggest if you can sleep with an extra pillow or two for the face to try to help stay on your back, but I know that's not always easy for people. But they do have these silicone patches. They also make them for the necks, but for your chest, you would just pretty much peel it off, stick it on your chest before you go to sleep at night, and it really just kind of helps keep that skin taut and help prevent the sleep lines that you get as you crease, as you kind of shift and toss and turn in your sleep.
Is there anything like that for the face? Because I will wake up with some really deep lines from sleeping so heavily. Yes.
Under eyes. I haven't seen any under eye patches or any patches for the face yet. Like I said, I know they make them for the neck. Ideally, I just try to tell my people to add a pillow to see if they can help sleep a little bit more upright, or even an airplane pillow.
Okay, cool. And then circling back just a little bit to the peptides, is this something for mostly the face and neck area, or is it for the entire body?
So this is a body lotion, so you could use it for the entire body, and then some of the newest weight loss medications, the SLP agonists that we have out there, those have peptides in them. And then one of the newest neuromodulators out there has peptides as well, so you're going to get that skin glow along with the anti-aging effects.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us on Bloom. I hope you can come back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to post these tips on bloomtampabay.com. And before we go to break, it is time for today's Bloom trivia question. How often should you wash your face? Once a day, twice a day, or 3 times a day? We'll have the answer later on Bloom.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by theluxelist.com.
Welcome back to Bloom. There's a new trending topic, breast augmentation without implants. Joining us now is double board certified plastic surgeon in Latin America, Dr. Alan Gonzalez, to tell us more and address the growing concern of breast implant illness. Dr. Gonzalez, welcome to Bloom.
Hi, Gayle. Thanks for the invitation.
So,
it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. So, Dr. Gonzalez, why do so many women today remove their implants?
Well, many patients present multiple physical symptoms that affect their quality of life. But when they are seen by various specialists, they are unable to find a clear cause for their discomfort. There is a possibility that they have an autoinflammatory autoimmune response. It's being caused by the implants. And this is an important reason for the implant removal today, since symptoms usually begin to improve or disappear within the first year after the implants have been removed. Among the most frequent symptoms that afflict these patients are joint pain, muscle pain, insomnia, anxiety, panic attacks, dry eye, headache, well, many symptoms, among other frequent symptoms which can be isolated or often associated, affecting their quality of life. That's the reason.
So, Dr. Gonzalez, what does the breast implant removal surgery entail?
Yeah, well, breast implant removal is the surgery where, as the name implies, the definitive removal of the implants and the capsular tissue surrounding the implants. And then, with the patient's tissue, may or not perform immediate breast reconstruction to eliminate the deformity caused by removing them and improve the shape and projection of the breast to avoid the psychological effects that may cause the deformity associated with removing them with the reconstruction. The technique we have used in more than 900 patients is called Brilliant. Brilliant breast reconstruction anatomical leaf augmentation is after the breast implant removal, we make an immediate reconstruction of the breast, emphasizing the projection of the cleavage, the upper part of the breast with a small L-shaped scar.
Okay, so we have about a minute left, doctor. So you're able to actually reconstruct the breast after the implants are removed?
Yes, yes. After we remove the implants, we, with the own tissue of the patients, make a rotation, an internal rotation, and improve the cleavage in all the patients with little or a small tissue or with very big tissue at the same place and to improve the upper projection of the upper pole of the breast. And the patients have a very anatomical result with only an L-shaped scar, not like an inverted T is a very big. This is an only little L-shaped scar. This is the key of the procedure.
I think a lot of women are going to find this information to be incredibly useful, because I have talked to women who've had their implants removed, and to your point, they do deal with the psychological impact of that. So to know that there's a surgeon like yourself who can do the procedure and reconstruct the breast without implants is remarkable. Thank you so much, doctor. And for more information on Dr. Alan Gonzalez, you can visit his website, alangonzalez.com, and you can follow him on social media at Alan Gonzalez, MD. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by theluxlist.com.
It's time now for today's Bloom trivia question. How often should you wash your face? Once a day, twice a day, or 3 more times a day? The answer is twice a day. Dermatologists often recommend washing your face once in the morning and once at night to remove dirt that's accumulated on the skin as well as makeup. What's right for your skin really depends on your skin type, though, and your skin condition, so you might want to talk to your dermatologist. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. Don't forget to tune into our podcast, The Bloom Health Club. On Mondays at 2 p.m., we take a deep dive and have extended conversations with some of the top guests that we have right here on Bloom. You can stream Bloom Health Club anytime on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We're celebrating Veganuary. Fab the Vegan will be back in the Bloom kitchen whipping up a delicious plant-based recipe so you can benefit from science-based health benefits of eating vegan foods. And if you aren't ready to go full vegan just yet, the Today Show's Joy Bauer has mouth-watering recipes to help you lean into a plant-based diet. Stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by theluxlist.com.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.